Yeah, that's. Same day, same number. Another I was there. It's not. I know. It's a.
Yeah, those are the pre.
No, you can't. That's good.
Okay, 7 o'clock, we can open the hearing and the first up is a continuation of 106 Millville Street. Zoning enforcement decision.
Need to take words.
I need initiated by a complaint back in September. See by the end of the Board of Health, alleging that the property 106 Millville, the property for which you are listed owner, is basically the J. Netto water tower. This property is being used to support a restaurant operation, also being used as a slaughterhouse. On-site inspection was performed on August 31st, and this chairman of Alan Greenberg, vice chairman, Tom Fisher, Daniel Evans, health agent, and the Board of Health. Also involved in the inspection was Max Carbone, animal inspector, Brendan, and Kevin Sullivan, animal control officer. Also, intended to officer in the police department. The time of inspection was concluded that a restaurant was being operated a bond on your property. This determination was based on the visual of services and verbal communication with individuals living at the property in question. In addition, the inspection also found deficiencies in the way that certain animals were being housed and fed. It has been determined by this officer that the property at 106 Millville Street is not licensed to be operating a restaurant. Therefore, the Minden Board of Health requiring that all on-site food operations cease, assist of all proper permit applications and certifications that have been obtained, viewed, and approved by the Minden Board of Health. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you?
Any results from an engineer, site engineer?
We never heard from them. We're not aware that the property owner prepared any plans.
I was under the impression that they were, that,
The board kind of tasked us, or, you received those Board of Health things. So it's my understanding that the property owner and their council were going to speak to an engineer.
Yes.
About a resolution.
that's how we left it.
We've never heard.
Were you able to give him any engineers?
He didn't ask. He never contacted me. I had a list of engineers I'd be happy to provide to them.
I thought that was just automatically going to happen.
Told them to reach out to me. I just never heard anything. I talked to my clients to see if there was had been any activity, any surveyors, any survey stakes, anyone visiting, anyone moving dirt around. There hasn't been much activity or any activity aside from maybe a few cars showing up now and then. But there's been no activity that we've heard at all. I know that there's another conservation commission meeting potentially scheduled at some point, but I'm not aware of the status of that with respect to that ongoing enforcement. I haven't seen those Board of Health documents you referred to, but I obviously referenced a prior use around the time when there was some site alterations going on.
If I sent that document to both of you.
I think I received it.
I'll check.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, it speaks for itself, so
Yeah,
that's okay.
I sent it to both councils,
Okay.
because I thought. it
Yeah,
was
I
important.
don't recall receiving it. That doesn't mean I didn't, or it's not in my junk file. I think it stands on its own. I take it. at
Any,
face
word for Ernie, it's
I haven't
showing
heard
up.
from him at all. I gave him the name of an engineer that night,
Yeah,
and he agreed to tonight for a meeting, but I haven't had any contact at all.
he's aware there's a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, he was here that night and agreed to tonight. So,
You haven't, there's been no communication at all about anything.
I mean, I stood ready. I talked to an engineer that actually shares the building. It's in my building. Would he be available? Said, yeah, it's contact. But I assumed because Ernie had a list of the people that he was going to contact. And he was going.
Yeah, I gave that at least two.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not suggesting that they didn't do any work or look or do any due diligence at all. I'm just saying that we're not aware of any work. Certainly no engineer went out there and staked or looked at it or that we're aware of. Again, we're just the neighbors. My clients are just the neighbors, so we're not fully site, but there's been no activity, no effort to remediate anything. Now they are under orders, I believe, from the Conservation Commission, so it's reasonable to suggest that they're not going to move dirt in and around that buffer zone area, but we're just not aware of it at this point. I mean, we're happy. We understand that it's a hard time to find contractors to do things. We're happy to work with them and get a resolution. No one wants to fight over this stuff anymore. And I'm happy to reach out to Mr. Horn if you want to give a shorter turnaround for a continuance. So maybe we can make some progress, but we are where we are, and it appears that the Board of Health documents that you indicate that there was a non-single family use going on, and around that time, there's a lot of movement of earth, which kind of supports at least the second component of our appeal, which was you got to go through site plan review if you're going to do something of that magnitude with a non-residential use. So, and again, whether or not the current property owner did that work or the former tenant did isn't our issue. So again, no one wants to hurt a property owner, and we just want to see that site.
Anyway. You had a question?
It was already answered. Thank you. It was about giving names of engineers to this attorney.
I was under the impression, actually, that you're going to give Ernie.
So I said, give me a call. I mean, as you know, Jim, I work with engineers every day, and I would have gladly given him a lengthy list of people to try, who I know are available to do work, both big and small engineering outfits. I told him to give him my number. He has my number, obviously. He's never contacted me, so I figured he was all set. He's obviously is pretty resourceful in his own regard. He's a good attorney.
There's nobody here in regards to the owner.
I don't see.
Do we want to continue it? Give Ernie a call and give him, they forgot the meeting or whatever.
I'd like to hear some sort of
I'll
explanation.
hear next.
When is your next meeting? Or when is your next available spot to hear it? Again, I don't,
Whatever is scheduled, but, you know.
But I just got an application yesterday, so we're probably looking at July for that one. Depending on what your availability is. So I think July 14th would be
I'm unavailable the 14th, but
21st.
I am available the 21st.
What?
They're not on the teams.
Who?
The owner, anybody,
Yeah, you can see,
but
is that you? I don't know who that phone number is.
I was just wondering. Phone number, but
The person hung on.
yeah,
Okay.
You're okay for the
Yeah,
21st?
like I said,
I am already.
it makes no sense not to round out all the evidence rather than to make a decision that might just
Yeah.
get appealed or do something. So we're happy to keep working with them, but we would obviously like to see some progress.
Is there any way to get some sort of response before?
You know what, I'll email them tomorrow and I'll copy Ellen on that email. And I'll say like, didn't see you, schedules conflict, people miss meetings, whatever. And if you want, it's the names of some
I can
engineers,
give
or
him
some
a call.
wetlands people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll be happy to reach out. I mean, I try and work things out, as you know, Jim, so,
Yes.
We'll call him, I'll give him a call.
sure, I appreciate that, John.
So that email was sent to you May 10th.
Okay, thanks, I'll take a look for it, maybe it just got
If
done.
it's not there, I can,
No worries,
or I can print you a copy.
that's okay, you have other things going on, we'll take care of it, I mean, Jim read the whole letter, so. Yeah. Okay, so,
I make a motion to continue the meeting to July 21st at 7 o'clock.
All in favor?
Aye.
always good to see y'all, see you in a month.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it, it's not on you, so it's better to work these.
Let me get it done.
Yeah, me too. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so the next two hearings have a council and same engineer. 56 Mill Street.
Have a preference where we sit?
Where?
No.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize you sitting there.
It's gonna have some quiet for a change.
variance from Article 2 of the zoning bylaw. Atkinson, 32 Washington Street, London. And the variance, Article 2, requires 20 feet of setback. Sidewalk. Yeah, it seeks setbacks 15 feet on the sidewalk. Well, the house is located at 56 Bedford Road. This is map 11, 36, 56. You can review it online. Faculty? Excuse me.
No, I'm his attorney. I'll introduce myself if you're ready. My name is Aldo Consigli. I'm a lawyer from Milford, Massachusetts. I'm with the firm of Consigli and Ricardo. Gentleman seated here to my right is Bill Helsing. He's an engineer with Land Plan. I'm going to make the legal presentation, and if there are any questions concerning the plan or what's going on with respect to the property, the engineer can answer them. Bill, excuse me, Bill will answer them. It's a relatively straightforward petition, but get into it when you're ready. Okay? All right. All right. Basically, with every variance, there's certain things that you have to prove. You have to prove a hardship. First of all, you have to show that there is no substantial detriment to the public good. And you lastly, you have to show that you're not derogating from the intent of the bylaw. What we're requesting here is, if you notice by looking at the plan, we've got a before and an after. The before shows the house on 56. It's much closer to the flood zone where Lake Hillmark is. And on one side, we have a 6-foot setback as opposed to the required 20. And on the other one, we have like, I don't know what it is, but it's 18 or 20, but it's not, it's under 20. So it's got to be 24 because it's basically 30. And what we're proposing is that we'd be allowed to raise this property, take it down, and then move the house closer to the front of the property. And the house is going to be thinner so that we would have basically a 20-foot wide house with 2 15-feet setbacks on each side. Now, as far as the hardship is concerned, the house that's there now doesn't comply with the setbacks. It does comply with the frontage, obviously. The septic system is, I believe, in the front of the property. And we have a legitimate easement for that. So there'll be no problem with the septic system in the back. The proposed dwelling is going to be a new home, comply with obviously all the new requirements that are in the construction code. But we're in a situation where the house is now that it really doesn't make a lot of sense to build a house in that position. We have the shape of the lot being similar to the other lots, but obviously both lots are the same. We have soil conditions and we have flood zone that basically provide this property as it is now with a constant wet basement. So what we're proposing to do is move it forward and be able to build a house where the homeowner, in this case, it's going to be Mr. Hackinson's daughter and son-in-law, who are going to basically own the property, and they'll be living there. We don't have a problem that affects the zoning district generally. It affects this particular piece of property. There may be other dwellings that have similar situations as far as where they're located in relation to the lake. But, and I can't speak to whether or not they have flooded basements, but I can speak to ours having a wet basement. So that if you construe the zoning bylaw literally and not allow us to move the house, we're going to have a hardship, and it's a substantial hardship that's going to affect Mr. Atkinson, Mrs. Atkinson, and the daughter and son. As far as the other two requirements, not being in detriment to the public good, we're in a similar situation. We're not going to increase the need for police or fire services, in the area. There's already a dwelling there. We're not going to increase the school population substantially, maybe one or two kids. We're not going to be in a situation where we're asking for commercial use where there may be possibility of pollution, smoking, smokestacks and things like that. So there really doesn't seem to be any detriment at all to the public good. Then if you read your own beginning of your bylaw as to what the intent of the bylaw itself is, it's clear that, the fathers that put that together, and maybe mothers too, I don't know, came up with the thought that what they were going to do is they were going to set forth provisions that would guide the town in the future so that they could have some uniformity as to what they were doing with respect to home building, businesses and all that. So what happens here is we're trying to comply exactly with the intent of the bylaw, which is to allow the property owner to use his property for a house. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them, but that's basically what we're looking for. But
Yeah, so the basement's flooding as of right now.
it's wet.
It's wet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on, I don't know if Lake Nipmuc has high tides and low tides, but it depends on rain and things like that as far as getting in.
I do have a second question. So these plans are contingent upon successfully getting a demolition permit and stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. And we were told we can't get a building, but we come here and get a variance.
Actually gonna make it more conforming than it is now.
Yes, yes.
They refused the appeal by the night problem, Jason. Separate issue going on. And then
I know nothing about that. This is Hackinson.
my understanding was Atkinson involved in that appeal.
Oh, I
Different. It's not. That's got the noise on the other side. That's him and the other side. This is.
Our request is not contingent upon or in any way affected by,
And it doesn't affect his lot.
by the Assembly appeal.
You say that the setback right now is that 8 feet?
The setback is 50 feet.
Sidelines.
No, the sideline, it's only 8 feet.
Yeah.
It's 8 feet now. We're gonna make it 15 on both sides.
Make it more than that.
And it's gonna, the house is gonna be skinnier, if I can use that term. And it's going to be more centered on the lot.
If it's not, it's gonna be in the ground.
Yeah, out toward the street, probably about 4 or 5 meters. And we brought it up and also the conservation bylaw, stayed away from the lake. So if they had been no building 50 feet.
Yeah.
So we slid it back. We said, they want to meet their, right.
Any questions from the audience? So please identify yourself.
Parking height, 5860 Exeter Road. I have a problem with water in my basement. Their lot is sloped towards my house and the water's running in the basement. The water over there, so I don't know what they could do about that. So getting worse than what it is already done.
Have water.
Is it surface water?
Their land slopes towards.
So can you see sheet water on top of the ground towards your house?
I've never noticed it.
I'm just curious if it's on the ground.
Just so it's being moved up from where it is now though, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah,
And if I could just for a second address that, what we're doing on that side is we're putting a swale in. So hopefully the majority of the water will not go on.
So a swale along the lot line?
Yeah, you can see it,
Going
yes.
over the hump and down into the pond?
We have the grading on this side of the lot, over Mr. Benoit's property quite a bit, so the contours of it on the right side there. So a grade.
Yeah, so it's
away from the property.
really. Yeah, is there a way we can make sure that that gets passed on? If it does pass to the planning board?
Right, decision. out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Would that suffice or? There was a swale to keep the water from crossing the lot line?
Well, we surface
Fine with me.
Surface.
Sir, we can't go underground.
Yeah, oh, I know, she realized that. Yeah, slow it down.
So that,
Down to the. Right now, it's just, you can see it. It just runs. It just runs right towards the house.
With a swale running away from the property.
And what's the height of the building?
I'm just gonna ask that question.
the finished height of the
Height, is finished height of the house.
I don't know either.
What's the height of the house?
How high is it gonna be, Tommy?
I'm just gonna say that. The single story, two-story, three-story?
It's a single family,
Yeah, stories,
two stories.
two-story house.
Yeah.
All right.
Could be the same height as 52 Oxford Road, the trend side.
Yeah.
The same, basically the same,
It's the same.
same plan, same house.
But we have a height regulation too.
It's
I
not.
just want to sure.
John, we'll comply with all of the building requirements. but
Yeah.
It's just the side lots that we're concerned with.
Just I wanted to put it up there so everybody understands.
No, I, fine.
so we have a non-conforming building that's close to the water. That we're going to be building a new building that is more conforming than the one is now.
That's right.
And that's what we're deciding.
And it's gonna be relocated closer to the road.
Center in the middle.
Yeah.
It's 86 feet out of the road.
Second.
And the only question from the audience, Mr. Benoit, that was your concern about service water.
Yeah, the height of the building. I know the other one looks higher than there's a peak, 35 feet. So there's.
I can't see the. Where?
It's not, it's not.
No.
Most houses that. I'll make a motion to approve the variance of 56 Oxford Road. The provision that is swale between Benoit property, number 50 not allow water from having walk running under the 58.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What?
Second,
I did.
an alternate.
Actually,
What? After a second.
Oh, he's got it.
Yeah, you're the alternate.
Yeah,
second. All in favor?
Aye.
You went through this once before.
What?
Went through this once
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that.
If the full board is here,
Yeah, we don't.
you can comment, but you
One
can't
second.
vote.
You can comment.
We can just talk. Yeah, exactly. We can comment, and, we don't have to do the hard part.
You're not very responsible.
Thank you, Jim.
Really, you're doing one night?
Look at that, huh?
Back.
Well, we were gonna switch over.
My record was, well, I got fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not following the law. What's it?
Yes. Yeah, they're gonna, I assume that town clerk will send it to me
That's correct.
with the certification that the 20 days have gone by.
That-
And I,
Well, no, I won't send you that, so you put up and pick it up.
all right, I'll have the client pick it up and then I will send the recording of it.
But you will get notice of decision first, and then after the 20 days,
Okay,
because the original.
thank you.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not.
This is.
Variance 24 Milford Street. Picking a variance. Positive for a suite. That's the 2.01. Requiring 200-foot frontage on a public way for a single family home. Applicant seeks reduction frontage from 200 feet, 30 feet at 24 Milford Street. This is map 977-24-0. To be viewed online. Remote participation details. Variety provided in close to December 28 hours before the hearing. Presenting the. You're up again.
Up again, all right. For the record, my name is Aldo Consigli. I'm a lawyer that practice in Norfolk. And seated to my right is Bill Housing. He's an engineer with land planning. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. I'm going to attempt to make a presentation and he's going to answer any technical questions with respect to the project. Basically, again, with the variance, there's three things we have to overcome. One is we have to prove that we have a hardship that is unique to our particular piece of property and not the zoning district generally, so that our situation creates a hardship for the owner. And that hardship would be for anyone that owns it, right? Particular one for a person. The second thing, again, is we have to show that we're not derogating from the intent of the bylaw, and we're not creating a situation that is a substantial detriment to the public good. Again, with the hardship, let's start with that first. Mr. and Mrs. Sweet own this piece of property. They require, if you want to see it, there's a piece on here that's again in the back, but it says now or formerly Bouchard to be conveyed to the petitioner. And they did that today. So the only piece in this area that is outstanding is that rectangular piece, which is owned by Harrington, which we're in the process of trying to acquire. Our access to this piece of property in the back is this 30-foot piece that was shown on a plan as Granite Street. Never the old plans have a tremendously large subdivision on that particular piece of property. That's two you would see would like to take a look at this. Give me 2 seconds. As I get older, it gets slow. Yeah. There's one after the other. If I could approach and start over here, well, I'll go this way.
Let's call it this way.
Yeah, this was the initial plan of that area. And then later on, they just did away with the lots and we made that. And we required just sort of everything in the back except the pieces that aren't shown on there. So at least it gives you a good idea of what's there.
What is that little square?
Harrington? Oh, which piece?
Next to F, to the N. Fence. It's in the, William Trust.
I'm confusing you, I'm sorry. Which plan are you reading from?
Oh, I'm reading from the last plan.
Oh, it's this one?
This square. Right. What is that?
That's a lot. Oh, fence, apparently.
One strip in that piece of land.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's fence.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Oh, this piece over here.
It's a May fan.
Mayfair.
Yeah, Chris May, I think it was.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just,
Yeah,
Would have been Tinny, used to be Tinny.
Chris May. He married Connie. didn't he?
Yeah,
Who owns it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
What should be on it?
so
What we want to do is we want to put a single family dwelling in the back, and it's listed on the plan as property, well, it's proposed. Okay, and then what our means of access is this 30-foot piece that comes in off of Milford Street.
So as of now,
Yep.
as of today, this piece by Harrington is completely surrounded by the petitioner's property.
Except pieces in the front, which are owned by other people.
Right, well, and it looks like this little piece here kind of, so it's completely surrounded by this property.
No, there isn't.
They're supposed to be on the public, but it's on the punch.
There's no way you really say no. You don't own this. It's mine. This is separate lot.
I know.
It's separate.
This is the, right?
That piece next to it is owned, it's in different ownership.
And it's,
744. 744.
yeah,
So that's where they said it would be entering from?
Oh, right.
It's the letter I got from the town said.
I'm trying to figure out, so this,
I'll come up there if you want.
yeah.
The application's in 44.
I'm a big person, so I'll swing off to the side so you can see it. What the proposal is, it's this 30-foot piece right here that I assume, you're Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
All right, so it goes by your property and will be at least starting to come in this way. I don't know what's going to happen when he acquires both of these, if he's going to change his driveway and come over here with the building and the proposed septic system behind it. I read your deed, you have access to use that, you're still gonna have access, we can't take that away from you. Difference will be that, in addition to you using it, they're gonna be using it to access their property in the rear.
I have a question.
Go ahead, if I can.
All the questions on the board.
Yeah, they need to be addressed to the board.
Yeah, they should have no cross.
Okay.
Okay. Right, keep things organized.
What we'll do is.
We're in France.
Board is to ask. We will open up for the audience. To ask questions.
I'm just trying, like, I'm confused because it says.
I didn't help you, I'm sorry.
No, well, so this piece up here that says remaining land is nothing to do with this property whatsoever.
Oh, it is.
So it's all, okay,
But see, there's a
it
house.
kind of comes around, I get it
Yes,
now, okay,
yeah, it's a house here,
yeah,
and the frontage over here is 150 feet.
yeah,
So that even if we wanted to cut off 200 feet, it, you know, obviously it's not
yeah, I
200
get
feet.
it. So it kind of goes up and around, like, so,
And, you know, it's talk about the hardship created by the shape and topography and the soil conditions. There's small outcroppings of ledge up here, there's wetlands here, there's wetlands here. So really, the only way,
so you're
They
going
can
to
do
split
this.
this piece up of the bigger property to create out.
so there's one line here. And then there's going to be one line here.
Just making sure I was,
No, that's,
and I'm understanding what's going on. Step one, right?
absolutely.
So this Harrington presently have a buildable lot there.
How can you get to it?
Really,
Well, it's like 50 by 100. And they probably have rights, going up, the 30 foot.
I don't, he need, for him to build up there, he would need a variance from frontage, land area, sideline setback, I would assume, all the setbacks and everything.
Now,
So in effect, it's not buildable.
I know this isn't a granite street yet, but, so there's nothing there whatsoever right now. It's unimproved.
Yeah, that's on paper road.
Yeah.
They call it. Paper road.
I drove down there.
It was delivered, created years ago. Excuse me.
Can I answer, ask a question? Or I don't want to interrupt, obviously.
Yeah. I drove down there this afternoon. That's not the 5 o'clock traffic.
Yeah,
That's what's on it there.
And drove in property. And, the buildings like right on the line there. 30-foot line. Might be affected by this, but at any rate, the British Road.
What is the length of the driveway? Well, the length of the whole driveway, I can't tell you, but the part that goes by that street is about 200 feet. Okay.
About 700 feet
About
altogether.
7. Okay.
And that'll depend on soil testing and all that. once we go engineering.
Depends how you
And then-
create it at the, by two pieces of land.
Yeah, it could be shorter.
And how wide would be, it looks like about 15 feet based upon the entry with
Likely about 10.
10. Okay, similar to long term.
We've got to make it big enough so a fire truck could get.
Yeah, the fire chief, he's gonna want it at least 50. I know.
Anybody else in the wood? Oh, look, anybody have anything to say? Excuse me, this gentleman here.
Yes, I know when you guys were mentioning the paper roads, which I've lived on that property for 56 years.
What?
It's a fire access road.
Identify yourself, please.
Excuse me, Todd Atkinson. And those fire roads have been there always, and they only show the fire roads that are there, but all the way down, and I have a map to show, there's multiple fire roads on their property that are
Yeah.
the same
I
thing.
think that's the one that you.
Is that, yeah, I don't know, the one I have is from 1927, it showed when that was sold
That's the same.
from the state to the landowners.
There's a lot of those around.
It's a few on here, it says unpaved road.
I think it's, and then in the rear of the property line, there's what they call a central turnpike, which before Route 16 was built, that was the passageway to Mendon.
That's right.
And I have the map that actually shows that, which I received from the town probably about 40 years ago, which was part of the town maps. And I just am curious of why, instead of using 44 as the property, which there is a road that's called Browning Street, which is on the property, down on 44, that goes down to Central Road, that goes to that property. 44 is the Gelly property that was sold to the Sweet family.
24 is.
And that's what, on the letter I got in the mail, it proposed they were using the entrance at 44.
24 suites.
Sweet, yes,
44.
which they bought that from the Gellys. Just recently. Yeah, no, yeah.
24 is in different ownership. Since they bought it.
And on the application, it says 44 Milton Street.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. That's what I was confused about.
This entire property is known as 44. It's his house.
Yeah.
That's the Apple's house.
No, applicants.
50. I'm 50, I'm the,
It's a different owner.
No, 44.
to the right of the grants.
44 is here.
Yes.
But 44 is down here, and it does connect, but I mean, to put a road in that goes that far. Just, you know, it's maybe not really practical.
Okay, yeah, okay, and also it's showing, is it that, the street that it's showing just to the left of the red line?
This one here,
Well, the paper road, they call it.
Granite Street, right here.
No, the one.
This one here,
Yeah,
that's Upland. Road.
Upland, and then further down, there was like two more, which I have on my map. So, but if you were gonna use this one, you'd be crossing wetland
And other people's
and
property.
other people's property. And, well, yeah, okay, and that's only showing the wetlands of right there.
That's right.
Which
But
I
that's all we're dealing with, is this particular parcel here.
Yeah. No, okay. I misunderstood what it
But
was
you're
saying.
right, you know, they're not,
44, and it was like, if they're entering at 44, why are they entering at 60?
44 is this entire parcel. All right, this whole thing up here.
Which I understand is, that was the Gellys, which was Eddie O'Grady, which was like a grandfather. I grew up.
I got a question. So this is gonna be one lot one, is gonna be this cut off squared up with the other lot.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna create the other lot, one, separate.
Yeah, it'd be the remaining land of the existing
Okay.
houses.
Okay, one, in
Yes,
so this is gonna be one lot.
now, it's like 4.7.
Yeah.
I think we got some more questions.
We got a lot.
I was, as far as, all that remaining land, I was concerned if they're gonna build a single family house there. After the access is granted, is that gonna become a development where there's
Oh,
gonna be
he
multiple?
doesn't have enough frontage for a road.
Okay, no, that's what, yeah, that was my concern, that it was gonna later become a development.
Couldn't make it
All we're
work.
talking about is this one little piece.
Okay.
But we can put that in the decision too. One house.
Yeah, no, because there is 28
I
acres
understand what you're saying.
that could become, and in the drawings I have, that's what it was originally made to be in 1927.
Yeah,
Those were, all those roads were.
Just gonna be one lot.
Yeah.
Access to the bigger possible.
No, that's understandable. I just, concerned that I don't want to see something happen later because they've got an easement way and then it opens up more to what they can do later.
but not with a 30-foot frontage.
No, this.
No, okay.
one
That's
goes-
my
We
question.
don't get the radius or any of that stuff. Yeah, you need two egresses in.
All kinds of.
Well, that's what, but the lot continues where it goes down to the other side of the lot where it would end, in and out. Where they could put a one-way road.
It's not gonna happen.
Okay, all right, no,
A single family on the lot, they can't.
We can write that in the decision.
yeah, no, okay.
No more than one house.
That was just my concern. It's
It's not gonna happen.
a busy road with,
Oh, yeah.
30 houses back there.
You have another question?
There's a lot of wetlands right at 58. I'm sure,
Identify yourself.
I'm 58 Gregory Vincent.
Your name,
Gregory Vincent.
okay.
There's a lot of wetlands. It's not shown on that. It goes through the property down to the other side of Route 16, down where that strip joint was gonna be.
Yeah.
We're concerned that it's gonna overflow on our property. There's a pipe that it's been there a long time, and it's gotta be associated, it's gotta be fixed.
Well, of course, doesn't deal with that. It's gotta go to conservation
Okay,
with it, so
all right,
we can only do topographic. We don't do drainage.
This is only step one.
okay,
It's just that conservation deals with water. We don't-
okay. And we're just concerned that it's gonna be a loop into our property with a house involvement, like Todd said.
It's just this one.
It'll be just one house.
Can we have it written?
Oh, yeah, it'll be in our decision.
Okay.
That'll be in the decision. One house only.
Okay.
One house, one lot, done.
Another thing, is he gonna update the road, all that with the plan?
Is it a driveway or a road?
Yeah, that's what we want to know.
Is it gonna be clarified?
It'd have to be a driveway.
It's a driveway.
But it can't be a road because it doesn't have. a
How about the shared drive?
shared driveway on the deed.
Yeah,
That's a right of way.
Where it is, you know.
It's private right of way now.
It is. I don't think so. It's dead. Dead after 90. Been dead for 27 years, but
Yeah.
1920.
Still, right.
It's, no. No.
We have the deed for the property here.
Yeah.
Here, right? Not-
And Mr. Vincent's deed is basically, it's the same language, that it's together with a right of way in common over the 30-foot wide.
Have a right of way
It's a
in,
common.
and there would be a common right of way.
Common is almost the same thing as shared.
Yeah, same thing. And it's not the common, not being inherited right down. But he can't stop you from driving.
No, but we will, how's the parking, situation?
Well, you can't park on Apollo right away.
Okay.
You can use it to travel, just as he can use it to travel, but you can't park on the deed.
Is,
He can't obstruct you, and you can't obstruct him.
is he gonna put it in the driveway for us? Because we've been using the driveway for 38 years that way.
Well, you're asking if he's gonna pave it, I don't know if that's in the plans at this point, but I wouldn't be surprised at some point.
Like, because we've been parking on it for 38 years.
He's not going to park on the right of way either. That's right. By right. We know what in.
She got something to say.
All right.
Are you ready? Okay.
It's a long story.
All right. At this time, we would be moved to reject the proposal at hand because
Identify yourself, please.
Identify yourself. Identify yourself.
oh, excuse me.
It's a record.
I'm Ted Vincent or Margaret Vincent from 58 Milton Street.
Thank you.
I got the water to the strip of
What one? Like, no.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we would move to reject the proposal at hand because we are concerned that we would like to be heard. If these concerns are talked through, we agree with the solution. We would then agree and support the proposal. Our concerns include continued use of the proposed driveway because it has been functional as access to our property for 38 years. We own 58 Milton Street. And the fact is listed on our deed as the following language. Together with the right of the way in the common, with others entitled clear to 30 feet over said proposed street. So for us to agree to the proposal, we want assurance that we will continue to have access to the proposed driveway and that it would remain a common right of way. We have additional concern with how utilities would reach the proposed new single-family house, including new poles to carry electric wires on which is drilled under the proposed driveway to have underground utilities of how these actions could affect our house and only, our house is only 18 feet from the driveway, the proposed driveway. Additional. The current use of the proposed driveway, there is some runoff to our neighboring wetland that needs to be maintained to avoid flooding, which will need being taken into account with the construction of updated driveway or throughway. We had a brief conversation with the proposers and we assured us that we would be paying to access the proposed driveway and that it would minimize the impact of our property. With the construction of the new single-family house,
We just want to make sure that these concerns are met before we support the variance request. And if there is any way to modify, if this variance is approved, we will continue to have access to the proposed driveway. And that the new proposed asset will be only for a single family house and residence. Now, another thing, the driveway, okay, the driveway is 30 feet, okay? 15, the town said we can use, and 15, my neighbor next door, okay? And that's all right, that's no problem. But we have a lot of granite underneath around them. Actually, when we had the water line, I got the water to the houses, but the granite was so bad there, and it still continues to be. I don't know what we're gonna do with all the coal stuff. And I don't want to have a lot of lighting on my property. I don't know what, I know we're just going for the driveway, and I don't have a problem, but these issues have to be addressed. And the wetlands are so bad, all the wells up on that hill were closed because of the contamination of the water.
That's the conservation that, I can't.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm just saying there's a lot of wetlands.
The comments, want to clarify. The 30-foot is right away in both parties. It's not 15 feet for you, 15 feet for the other side. 30-foot combined frontage. As far as the electrical lines, whether they run underground or overhead, that's between the builder and the electric company. And we would have no say in that. I always would prefer underground myself, but again, can't think that's part of the system here. And then as far as the water issues, that's conservation.
Refer to the driveway.
Does it what?
It said it referred to the driveway in the deed, correct?
No,
No, it didn't.
no, it refers to 30-foot right of way. But
Yeah,
see-
that's, okay.
Yeah, but see, the problem is, and I don't think any of your concerns are really out of whack, they seem to be reasonable requests. It's just that this is not the proper forum. But I can tell you that there's no way we can stop you from using it, you have deeded rights to it. Also, I mean, whether they put that in or not, it could just
Can't
develop.
block it though. Can't park
No,
on
you
it.
can't park on it, it's gotta always be open. Right, and the thing with, as far as the poles or whether there's not gonna be poles, he owns the property, I know it's hard to believe, but he owns that 30-foot piece, subject to rights of people to use it.
I got one question.
Go
Who's
ahead.
paying taxes on that since 1927?
No, it's town property.
It's town property. We can fight about this.
Why are we gonna fight about it?
It was town, it was a fire room.
Yeah, I gotta ask the town, okay, the zoning board, excuse me, to be able to. Okay, that property was the right of way for the fire department to get back into the woods because there was a lot of acreage, which is fine, okay? We kept it clear for the town to get into the property, no problem. But my question to you is if we had 15 and 15, who was paying the 15 and the 15 driveway?
Nobody has.
The tax.
Like the town?
30 was the town
The
paying,
town
or
owns,
who's paying, who was paying?
I
Before,
mean, nobody was paying, the town was just no one paying, taxpayers, everybody's down paying.
okay, now who changed it? I'm 50, I'm Bill Vincent, 58.
Yeah.
Who changed it?
When he bought this,
Yeah, but if the town owned it,
I don't know,
The town never get title.
well, that's what.
well, the town never had title to it?
I don't think the town ever owned it.
Well,
Ray
so-
owned it. Came out there.
If that was the case, I would have bought it a long time ago.
Well, it looks about in the deed as I'm reading it. It looks like it was from a treasurer's deed of low value from the town amended to Edwin O'Grady dated April 17th, 1953.
The Grady's didn't.
That's but prior to 1950, or 1953 on. But from 1953 on, the owner of this property was paying taxes on it, it looks like. It looks like it was conveyed with a deed of low value from the treasurer's office, and then the town didn't see much, use for it.
So as long as they had the right to go up there, what did they give them?
Exactly.
That's when it became a right of way.
I was under the impression that years back, the Vincents approached the town about purchasing that. And they said that it couldn't, it would stay as a town piece of property. And if it was ever to be abolished, it would be divided 15 feet each way. That's where he's getting that saying, you know.
Town said it.
No, it was never abolished. I understood that. You know, and I don't have any, you know.
I'm just reading what's on the.
I know, we don't have the proof either, I know.
Yeah,
It was lost.
gotcha.
I should have bought it then. I bought the house.
Well, as far as, what we talked about the conditions and whatever, assuming that it gets approved, the petitioner has no problem with your thing on there that it could be only used for one single family house. And that he can't walk the right of way. I mean,
You can't walk it right away anyhow.
I understand that, but if it makes Mr. and Mrs. Vincent feel better, we can put it right in the city. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, because that's what the law says anyway.
And we would make sure that the driveway itself will support fire.
Fire chief,
Yeah, well, he's got a lot of things to do before he gets it.
Oh, yeah, you gotta go through the
He's
water.
got conservation, he's got to have a building inspector on there.
Typically, he's not required to go fire department. What I'm saying is that would be part of the decision.
Yep.
They are required to get approval fire department as far as the driveway width.
Yeah, but that's the building inspector that causes that, isn't it?
No.
No.
The fire chief, we involve him pretty in every building box, he thinks. If he's gotta get his fire truck and turn around, whatever he's gonna do.
And would,
And you want to have it so they get in, if there was ever a fire up there, you want to make sure that they can get in there.
Well, it benefits
Yeah,
us
you
as
know.
much as anybody, yeah, absolutely.
so it's not only the width, but also
I think he goes to 12 or 15 feet.
turnaround area. The turnaround, drive back out.
So it doesn't have.
Back.
We've done that other lots like this. Should be turned around, fire chief all the time. Yeah.
Obviously, I see you had some maps that we didn't see. Could I show you this map that I did the council to look at, to see the area that we're talking about in a different perspective?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm trying to look at is, obviously that's Granite Street. This is that central pipe that goes down, which roads aren't even in here right now where the development is. This piece of property they're talking about is here. All the way down, there's that road, but then there's this road and that road, and then there's a road that comes in from here.
Yeah, but
And this is the road they're talking goes in for this piece of property that is back here.
the 50. So we still were talking about.
That same.
Yes, it's doing that.
Yeah, so we're talking about, it looks like from.
Like from here and here, just like disappeared.
Well, from my perspective here, looking at this, right, the road that we see over here is all the way on this side over here. Then there's the other one that's right here, it's not even part of your property.
Okay, so then, Hines, okay, so they're showing most of this is a swamp. So the house would be in this area here, this thing. And the property.
Property line is right.
Well,
Proposed dwelling.
It's more.
That's gonna pass it down.
I just don't, I mean, I understand it. I don't have no dispute with it. I just don't know if it was explained like that. Lap I had got from Eddie O'Brady 40 years ago. We had a variance for a swimming pool.
You got that all, but way back. What?
Who's managing snow removal on that road right now?
We've been 58.
I've been, you have been?
That was the town map.
They gave me.
Well over
Route 16 is Granite Street.
So, but those roads were never accepted though, right?
No,
Those roads.
Those are, fire access roads.
yeah, they were never down road.
But they were never approved, they were never approved by the town, so.
No, that's an old development, that did Grand Jack.
This would have been the 27 map.
It's a little,
27.
a little before
And
my
they,
time.
they never got developed.
That's the one I submitted, but he's got a bigger version of it.
They never,
Which I got from the.
that would never happen.
So I mean, I'm saying is those were never accepted by the town, no bearing on any of it,
It doesn't, okay, all right.
you know. I mean, it's good to see, I'm a historical commission guy, so.
Oh, okay,
State
yeah,
history,
yeah. To see those.
What could have been?
what could have been, right? Didn't, I was-
You know, and just learning from all the years of living there with Eddie O'Grady and stuff. You know, it had changed many times because back when, I guess, when Oski owned your property. They had a land dispute about where the line was, and those lines that were sold from the state in 100-foot by 50-foot increments. Or Eddie didn't fight it because he didn't care, the swamp.
Now, we have the assessment map in here, right, for the butter?
The town provided that.
Yeah. So. I think that's.
That's what I didn't understand when you were saying too, that Eddie was the one that was paying the taxes on town road.
Well, I'm saying it was conveyed in 1953, according to the deed.
Because before that, nobody paid.
Nobody, yeah, that's why I didn't.
Well, it was considered land of low value, so.
If I took it to taxes.
Well, what happened is he probably came to the town and said, hey, you know, use this as a right of way anyway, could I just have. Go to the treasurer, since the land of low value, you think I could have this piece of land? And they probably said, okay, yeah, it's land of low value. Have fun, you know.
Well, now, we grant this. It's a sweet loan, right away. You guys can use it. She's like, oh. But he's not gonna plow it.
Oh, he's gonna plow
It's his land.
it? He's gonna plow it, or when's this gonna stop?
When he builds, after he builds his house.
Who's gonna plow
Ooh, whoever he hires, or maybe, oh, the wife to do it. I don't know.
it? Then we won't, I guess we won't plow it.
I just got a question. I know that 44 had Granite Street, okay, and it cuts off, okay? All right, and it's over near the Tennessee pipeline, the
Yeah.
pipeline, okay?
That'd be that.
Yeah, why, okay. On our street right now, on the driveway, it doesn't say Granite Street anymore. Can you only have one access to the property?
Oh, yeah. One house was gonna have one. If you wanted a whole development, then you have to.
I just looked at the map with all the streets.
We can have eight houses. I believe.
Well, I looked at the map with all the streets and to me, it looks like Granite Street's the only one with access, so.
Now getting all the stuff to.
Well, they all connect, right? The streets
Yeah.
But
connect.
not on that property. There's no other streets on that
We
property.
really don't care about that because that never happened.
Right. Well, I'm saying even if we did, it looks to me like none of them are anywhere near that, so.
I just wanted to ask that.
When you say that property, but that property is all of that property for 44.
Well,
It's not just that little red area.
But they're trying,
That's all we're looking for, though, is the ready area.
yeah, they're trying to split that piece off, so.
We really can't talk about this here because we didn't ask for anything here.
No,
That's not, and that,
it's not no issue.
Huh?
That's no issue.
Yeah, that's not an issue.
Right, no.
Yes, ma'am.
I ain't worried.
I gotta ask, what's the grace period, when this project is going to start, and how long I would feel we're gonna wait for it to be finished. I wanna know when it starts and when it's gonna last.
Variance.
Oh, we've got the variance, but if he gets all the variances, he'll wait 20 days to appeal. Then he's gonna go through all the other boards. I don't know how long that's gonna take.
He's got at least a year to act on
At
the
least a year.
variance.
To start.
Yeah, before you get all your permits. Then you
We're
get,
not gonna be able to go through that little strip there, where are they gonna come in?
they're gonna go through that little strip, 30 feet, and plenty.
All the trucks, everything's going through that road. It'll never handle it.
30 feet, he's gonna have to improve it.
Wetlands goes through there in the springtime. That's what's right over.
Well, then they'll have to.
Conservation.
It's
Conservation,
so muddy back there. I get stuck all the time.
conservation will have to take in right conditions. That's their business, not ours.
Oh, that's not.
Conservation and there's-
That's-
we
that's-
have board-
Conservation.
That's not us.
Okay, this is off, no, this is off the map now. He's got a 50-foot, 500 road back there. He blew through with, what's that street there? Old Pulse Road. He blew right through there. It's a 50-foot right of way back there. And it's gotta be over 500 feet. He can come through that way. There's no question about it.
But he needs frontage. It's not
You
just-
need frontages.
Why did he blow a 50-foot road back there? You can see it on the map, on the back. You can see it on Google.
You can go on any.
Old Post Road, he dug right up.
I would say that would be a legal issue between the
The
town
town did stop him,
and they stopped.
but it was too late.
We're just concerned.
And if
Well,
you have the-
I'm just concerned about
if you
that
have the
drive.
town to make,
That's it.
restore.
I'm just saying,
If they
I'm
come
just
to the
concerned.
necessary, we ask the town to make and restore that road, that portion to its original district. You have nothing to do with that, don't know what they're doing. First I heard of it.
That's not, we're only
I know, just concerned.
conservation, they take care of water and the drains and all that stuff. We don't do that.
But I don't think they're gonna be able to get any.
No, no.
But
Again,
once we approve this, then he's got all the other boards.
There's a hill over with the driveway, and once they start putting stuff on there, it's all done.
Oh,
That's not to us.
I know, it's shit, it's both, we're just saying,
I just
saying.
That's why
I understand your concern, I mean. Like septic and water, we don't talk about that. That is our jurisdiction.
I guess we're all set, I guess.
any other questions? Can you hear a motion?
I can make a motion to approve a lot on 50 Milford Street, 50-foot right of way.
30.
It's 30.
30.
50.
What, well, what number?
No, it's 43.
No, it's 30 feet.
30 feet, I'm not saying.
Oh.
30, not the number. A 30-foot right of way. Proposed lot number 1. What number is that? 50 Milford Street.
I think it's all part
It's
of
gonna be
44.
44.
Well,
Or 44,
where's
right?
not 44, it'd have to be like 44A. But the
But it
effect
doesn't,
one,
it doesn't exist yet, though.
yeah.
30-foot right of way on lot 1 on 44 Milford Street.
And you want the secondation
No.
of a fire,
That will have to be approved by the fire department
In a
right
single.
away.
single-
Single drop house on one lot. Would approve the fire department, road to get in.
Roadway and the.
Not a road, a driveway, not a
A
road.
shit.
well, whether the fire
Shared
department determines what they want, right?
Yeah.
Shared driveway, not a road,
With a turnaround.
with a turnaround. Wherever they can create one. Wherever he puts the house, got to do soil samples and all that. So we can't get the house going right here.
But where is gonna be the turn? You don't know.
They have soil samples. They don't have to fight for the swamp,
Yeah, we
They
don't.
can't.
no, so they're not going to determine when that's gonna be. And do that in the engineer.
Got one more question. Because I'm in the zoning board, okay? All right, how many feet, okay? My property is on the line, right? His is on the line. Is there anything, like, if I was to put up a fence, I have to be 2 feet from a driveway? What's the situation about, a driveway on my property line?
She wants to know if she can put a fence on her property line.
What's that, your property?
It's only 18 from the driveway.
Why is it not on the right of way?
You have to have an engineer come out.
Is there a boundary thing or what?
Yeah, you have,
An engineer.
you need an engineer to come out, either mark, pay to have the sideline, the property line marked. And then the recommendation is to always put the fence 6 inches to a foot on your property, so you can access the other side of the fence if it ever needs repairs or painting. That's the standard recommendation.
I got one more question. How come that road was never surveyed? When they're doing the surveying now, how come it was never surveyed?
Why the property when we get surveyed, somebody's surveying.
Is it? No, they never was surveyed.
Well, they will be surveyed.
You're working on it.
Huh? You're working on it. All right.
You're working on the driveway getting surveyed?
What's your definition of survey? It's not a driveway.
Well, it's a shared driveway.
I know, but what do you mean by survey? If I can,
Yes,
There
but
was no markers
A
on.
boundary line to boundary line.
do you mean having a survey to know where it is or having it staked?
State.
That's much later.
We have a motion before the board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Done.
this is something also later after we get approved. It's not unusual that I have a survey from the state after. Not unusual at all, anyone. I had my property surveyed, I'm still waiting to get state.
Only try.
Connie, I remember in high school coming to a town meeting in this building up one here, but they must have redone it. Did I remember? This was a balcony or something.
Yeah, they've been doing a whole lot of work. The state here.
Well, I remember, I don't think we were there. I think we were in the back. Right. I don't even know. Really?
But this is, that was a kid.
Right.
State, man.
Oh, it sits in. Same age, it's down.
So we're not gonna do the minutes because I didn't write them.
Hey, I'm sitting there.
My brother. Yeah.
Oh. Let's talk about taking person now with them. I said, you're gonna have to pay it if you're gonna make this work.
Yeah, most my hearing.
Yeah.
All my brother representative.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was
John.
Yeah.
Ernie,
No, I- first thing that when you- that happened, so-
Well.
Yeah.